Under the quiet breath of a new morning, under the gentle hush of dawn, when the world has not yet decided what it will become, there is a sound, soft, steady, and older than time itself. It is the sound of God's whisper in the soul. It is the call that says, "Come to me, and I will make the crooked paths straight. Come to me, and I will heal what was broken." On August 15th, there will be a moment unlike any other, a moment chosen by heaven to open doors that have been locked, to melt walls that have been hardened, to pour oil over the wounded places of your family. And all he asks of you is to speak, just 2 times, with faith that outweighs your fear, with a voice that refuses to tremble before the memory of the past. Because there is a sound in your voice when it is joined with God's promise, and that sound has the power to shift the earth beneath your feet. I know you have felt the ache. I know you have lain awake at night, wondering how the people you love most can feel so far away, while still breathing under the same roof. I know you have walked into rooms where silence was sharper than knives, where eyes looked past each other instead of into each other, where words piled up in your throat until you swallowed them down like bitter medicine. I know you have prayed until your knees ached, and your voice went hoarse only to wake and find that the tension was still there, the gap was still wide, and the love you remember seemed trapped in another season, another lifetime. But hear me, beloved. God does not ask you to speak on August 15th because he needs to be reminded of your pain. He asks you to speak because heaven has already prepared the answer, and the words you release will be the key that unlocks the gate. When you stand in that place, whether it be your bedroom, your kitchen, your porch, or the quiet of your car, know that you are standing on holy ground. For the soil beneath your feet has been watered by every tear you have cried, and God counts not a single one as wasted. On August 15th, your voice will not be just air and sound, it will be the hammer that shatters chains, the seed that bursts into bloom, the torch that drives out shadows. Say it twice, not because God is deaf, but because repetition is the rhythm of faith. The first time you speak, you will break the power of the lie. The second time, you will seal the truth into the heart of your family. And what truth is that? That love still lives here, that forgiveness still breathes here, that what God joins no man, no demon, no bitterness, no misunderstanding can tear apart. You must not fear how long it has been broken. Time is no obstacle to the one who stands outside of it. You must not fear how deep the wound goes. God has healed the deepest seas, and called them still. You must not fear the stubborn pride in another's heart. The same God who called Lazarus from the tomb can call humility and tenderness back into a soul that has forgotten its own softness. And you must not think for one moment that your family is beyond the reach of his restoration. For if that were so, he would not have placed this word in your hands today. You were chosen to be the bridge. You were chosen to be the voice. You were chosen to be the one who stands in the gap and calls life into the bones that have grown dry. On that day, as you speak, let your words come not from your hurt, but from your hope. Let them rise from the vision you carry in your spirit of laughter returning to your table, of hands reaching for each other instead of pointing in blame, of voices speaking in kindness instead of cutting in anger. See it as though it has already happened. See the prodigal child walking back through the door. See the parents holding each other after years of sleeping back to back. See the siblings exchanging forgiveness for all the years they lost in silence. Let your faith paint this picture in vivid colors, and then speak into it. Speak over it. Speak until the very air in your home begins to hum with the power of restoration. Understand this. Restoration is not always instant, but it is always certain when God has spoken it. Do not grow weary if you do not see the change that very hour. The seed still works in the soil even when the earth looks bare. The river still runs beneath the desert even when the sand is dry. and your words released in obedience will echo in the unseen until the appointed moment when they burst into sight. That is the way of heaven, first in the spirit, then in the natural, first in the whisper, then in the shout, first in the unseen roots, then in the blooming flowers. So hold your peace while God does His work, and keep thanking Him for what you cannot yet see but surely will. On August 15th, you will not just be speaking words, you will be standing in covenant. You will be holding the rope that heaven has lowered to pull your family from the pit. You will be participating in a divine exchange, your faith for His power, your voice for His authority, your surrender for His victory. And in that exchange something will shift. The tension will lose its grip. The atmosphere will begin to soften. The hard ground will begin to break, and roots of love will start pushing through. You may not hear it, but the chains will fall in the spirit realm. You may not see it, but angels will move through your home, rearranging what the enemy tried to scatter. Do not underestimate what can happen when you speak at the appointed time. Joshua spoke, and walls fell. Moses spoke, and seas parted. Jesus spoke, and the dead rose. You will speak, and the fracture will heal. You will speak, and the bridge will be built. You will speak, and the love that has been suffocating will draw breath again. But remember, this is not magic. This is covenant. This is not superstition. This is obedience. Your words will carry the weight of the one who sends them. And because He is faithful, your family will see His goodness in the land of the living. I tell you, there is something holy about a soul that refuses to give up on their family. The world will tell you to walk away when it gets too hard. Pride will whisper that you've already done enough. But the Spirit will remind you of the nights you were comforted by your mother's voice, of the mornings you were strengthened by your father's hands, of the laughter that once rang through the halls and made the walls glow warm. The Spirit will remind you that family is not a coincidence. It is an assignment. And if God gave you this family, then He has equipped you to fight for it, to speak over it, to cover it in prayer until the night gives way to morning. So on August 15th, rise with purpose. Let your feet find steady ground. Let your shoulders carry the weight of this moment with grace. Speak the words He has placed in your spirit, twice, with the conviction that heaven is leaning close to hear. Say it with your whole being, with your voice and your heart and your soul aligned in faith. And when you are done, do not look back in doubt. Stand still and watch the salvation of the Lord. Watch how He moves pieces into place, how He sends people to speak healing into wounds you cannot reach, how He bends time and rearranges circumstances to bring about what He promised. There will be a day when you will look across the table and see the answer to the prayer you spoke that morning. There will be a day when the air feels lighter, the love feels stronger, the bond feels unbreakable, and on that day, you will remember this moment, not as a desperate act, but as the turning point. You will remember how God took the simplest thing, your voice, and used it to open the floodgates of His mercy. You will remember how, in obedience, you unlocked the future of your family, and you will know deep in your spirit that nothing spoken in faith is ever wasted. Beloved, the words are waiting in you. The day is appointed. The promise is sure. Speak and see the restoration of the Lord. Speak and watch love return home. Speak and let heaven write a new chapter for your family, one filled with grace, laughter, and the kind of unity that makes even the enemy tremble. And when it happens, you will know that it was never your strength, but His. Never your plan, but His. Never your fight alone, but His hand moving through your willingness. August 15th is coming, and with it comes the sound of chains falling, hearts mending, and the eternal whisper of God saying, I make all things new. And when the day comes, you must not hesitate. Do not let the enemy bargain with your courage. Do not let fear stand between you and the promise that is waiting to be born. For the enemy will try to distract you, to fill your mind with the noise of past failures, to whisper that speaking will not change anything. But you must remember that the voice that speaks in faith is not just the voice of man. It is the voice of God flowing through flesh and bone. And when God speaks, mountains bow, seas still, and the darkness flees without looking back. Your 2 declarations on August 15th are not small. They are earth-moving. They are the echo of heaven's own command, breaking through time to land on your lips, so that what has been scattered can come together again, bone to bone, heart to heart, spirit to spirit. And if you feel trembling in your voice, know that even trembling words are mighty when clothed in faith. Do not wait until you feel ready. Readiness is not the condition for miracles. Obedience is. God has not chosen you because you are flawless in speech, or perfect in patience. He has chosen you because your heart is willing, because even after the storms you still believe in love's return, because you have stood in the rubble and still lifted your eyes to the sky. You are the intercessor, the restorer, the one who dares to hope when others have shut their doors and closed their hearts. And heaven honors that courage, more than you will ever know. As you speak, remember that the restoration you are calling forth is not simply a return to what once was. No, God does not just patch up the old. He makes all things new. He rebuilds with gold where there once was dust. He lays stronger foundations where the cracks once ran deep. He gives beauty for ashes, joy for mourning, praise for the spirit of heaviness. So do not look only for the familiar laughter, the familiar closeness. You are calling forth something greater than before. You are speaking a blessing that will ripple down the generations, healing not only the present but breaking curses from the past, and securing blessings for the future. And perhaps there will be resistance. Perhaps even after you speak, you will still hear the sharpness in someone's tone, still see the walls in their eyes. But hear me, walls do not fall with one tap. They fall with the persistent pounding of faith. And your 2 declarations on August 15th will not be the end of your fight, but they will mark the beginning of heaven's undeniable intervention. They will be the moment God releases the first wave, the moment the spiritual ground cracks open, the moment the roots of love begin their push upward. And as you continue to walk, to pray, to speak, the ground will yield more and more, until the harvest of restoration stands tall before you. I want you to imagine it now, because the vision will carry you when doubt tries to drown you. Imagine a table where no one sits in silence out of spite. Imagine the warmth of a hug that lingers, because no one is holding back anymore. Imagine the tears of joy that come when forgiveness is spoken aloud and received without resistance. Imagine the freedom of knowing that the love between you is no longer conditional, no longer brittle, no longer waiting for the next argument to shatter it. This is the promise you will speak into existence on August 15th, not by your own strength, but by the authority of the one who knit your family together before you were born. And if you are standing alone in this fight, do not let loneliness deceive you into thinking you are weak. Some of the greatest victories in Scripture began with one person standing when everyone else had bowed. Noah built alone. Moses stood before Pharaoh alone. Esther stepped into the king's court alone. But they were never truly alone. God was with them, and heaven was backing every step they took. So if you are the only one in your household who believes, let your belief be enough. If you are the only one who will speak, let your voice carry the weight of an entire lineage, crying out for freedom. You will not fight in vain. You will not speak into emptiness. Heaven will meet your words and make them thunder in the spirit until every shackle breaks. Do not think of this as just another date on the calendar. This is an appointed time, a divine intersection where your obedience meets God's timing. And when those two meet, nothing on earth or under it can prevent the breakthrough from coming. The appointed time is like the sunrise. It cannot be stopped, only anticipated. And when it comes, the darkness must retreat, the cold must give way, the world must change in the face of its light. Your appointed time for family restoration is rising, and the light will not be dimmed. I know some wounds in your family go back years, even decades. I know some words were spoken that cut so deep you wonder if they left a permanent scar. I know some decisions fractured trust to the point that you've been building walls around your heart just to survive. But the God who is calling you to speak is the same God who has promised to heal the broken-hearted and bind up their wounds. He is not intimidated by the depth of your pain. He is not daunted by the stubbornness of the people you love. And he is not surprised by the complexity of your situation. He saw it all before you did, and he has already written the ending where love wins. There is something holy about speaking what you have not yet seen. Faith is a seed, and your words are the planting. When you speak on August 15th, you are planting a garden in the Spirit. You will not see every bloom that day, but you will feel the shift in the soil. And if you tend that garden, watering it with continued prayer, pulling up the weeds of bitterness, shielding it from the frost of hopelessness, you will watch it grow until it overtakes every corner of your family's story. And when the blooms come, they will be sweeter for the waiting, stronger for the battle, brighter for having pushed through the dark. And when you see that day, you will not only rejoice for your family, you will carry a testimony that will ignite hope in others. You will tell someone else that restoration is possible, that love can be resurrected, that no night is so long the morning cannot break it. You will become a living letter from God, written not with ink but with the transformation of your own household. Your victory will not be yours alone. It will be a light for others lost in their own shadows. So, beloved, let your heart be ready. Let your spirit be steady. On August 15th, take your place as the intercessor, the bridge, the peacemaker, the warrior. Stand in the gap, open your mouth, and speak the words heaven has given you. Speak them twice, with a heart that believes the first breaks the chain, and the second seals the promise. And then watch for the tremors in the spirit, the shift in the air, the quiet miracles that begin to unfold in the days and weeks to follow. Because restoration is coming, not just as a possibility, but as a certainty. It is coming like rain to parched land, like light through the cracks, like the sound of a familiar voice calling you home. And when it comes, you will look back at this moment, this appointed time, and know that it was here that heaven touched the earth through your willingness to believe. And nothing, no argument, no history, no wound will ever take that away. And when you stand in that moment, know that all of heaven leans in close, listening for the sound of your faith. It will not matter how tired you feel, how long the fight has been, or how many times you have been tempted to walk away, because in that instant, the weight of your obedience will carry more power than years of struggle. The angels will move at the sound of your agreement with God's will, shifting the atmosphere in ways your eyes may not yet perceive, but your spirit will surely sense. You will speak and feel the unseen stir, like wind through the leaves before a great storm breaks. You will sense a quiet authority rise in you, not born of your own strength, but given as a gift from the one who holds the hearts of kings and the fates of families in his hands. Do not hold back. Let the words rise from the deepest part of you, from the place where hope has lived in exile but never died. Let them carry the weight of every memory, every ache, every longing for better days. Speak as though you are watering the roots of a tree you cannot see, but know is there. Speak with the understanding that love is a force stronger than offense, stronger than pride, stronger than the years that tried to erode its foundation. Let each word be a stone you place in the rebuilding of your family's altar, a sacred space where unity and grace can dwell once more. And when you speak the second time, let it be the seal, the holy stamp upon the petition you've offered, the echo of your first declaration that tells heaven and earth, this is settled, this is done, this is ours by the promise of God. Do not measure the worth of this moment by the immediate response you see from those around you. The work of God often begins in silence, in the quiet chambers of the heart where no one else can look. A stony expression may hide a softening spirit. A stubborn word may conceal a trembling thought of change. A distance may be nothing more than the enemy's last attempt to disguise the nearness of breakthrough. Trust that your voice has reached further than you know, that it has entered rooms in the spirit where conversations are happening between God and the souls you love. Trust that He is already shaping their thoughts, aligning their steps, loosening their grip on the hurt they have carried. And while you wait for what you have spoken to unfold, live as though it is already true. Treat them with the kindness you would if the wound had been healed. Speak with the gentleness you would if the tension had been dissolved. Act with the generosity you would if the relationship was already restored. In doing this, you are not pretending. You are participating in the reality God has already set in motion. Your actions become a prophecy in themselves, a living declaration that the restoration is not only coming but has already begun. Do not let bitterness take root while you wait. Bitterness is the weed that chokes the harvest before it can be reaped. Forgive even before you are asked. Release the offense before it is addressed. Choose love in moments where anger feels justified, because love will always plant something that anger can never grow. And when it feels like your forgiveness costs too much, remember the price God paid to forgive you. It will remind you that grace is never wasted, never without reward. On August 15th you may feel a stillness afterward, as though nothing has happened, but do not be fooled. Seeds rarely make noise as they break open underground. The miracle will often begin in silence, in hidden places. And when the first signs of change appear, they will be like green shoots after a long winter, fragile but undeniable. A softened tone, an unexpected smile, a conversation that feels lighter than before. These are the whispers of restoration, the first notes of the song that will soon swell into a chorus of reconciliation. Do not overlook them. Thank God for them. Nurture them with prayer, with patience, with faith. There may come a moment, weeks or months later, when the full wave of restoration crashes over your family, and you will trace it back to this day, this obedience, this sacred speaking. You will remember how you stood in your kitchen, or in your room, or outside under the open sky, and spoke with trembling yet determined lips the words heaven told you to say. You will remember the second time you spoke them, how it felt like closing a lock on the door to the enemy's influence. And you will see how God honored it, not because the words themselves were magic, but because they were an offering of faith, and faith is the currency of the kingdom. The beauty of restoration is that it never just repairs, it renews. It does not merely return you to the place you were before, it brings you into a better place than you could have imagined. You will find yourself grateful not only for the healing, but for the journey, because the journey taught you to value what you once took for granted. The laughter will sound sweeter because you remember the silence. The hugs will feel warmer because you remember the distance. The togetherness will taste richer because you remember the loneliness. The storm will have left a mark, but not as a scar, rather as a testament to the God who stills storms and leads His children to safe shores. And when others see what has happened in your home, they will ask you how. They will want to know how you crossed the chasm that separated you from the ones you love. They will want to know how walls fell, how trust returned, how love grew again from what looked like dead ground. And you will tell them, not with pride in your own effort but with awe at the faithfulness of God. You will tell them about the day heaven gave you a date, a command, a promise. You will tell them how you spoke twice on August 15th, believing in something you could not yet see. You will tell them how you held on when nothing seemed to change, and how one day everything did. And in telling your story you will plant seeds in their hearts, seeds that may one day lead to restoration in their own homes. This is how God works. Your victory becomes someone else's hope. Your testimony becomes someone else's turning point. Your obedience becomes the map that guides another soul out of their wilderness. This is why the fight for your family matters so deeply, not only for you but for those who will be inspired by what God has done for you. Restoration is never only about the ones restored. It is about the ripple that flows outward, touching lives you may never meet, but who will be changed because you stood your ground. So take courage. Do not let the weight of what has been convince you that it will always be so. You serve the God who split seas, who raised the dead, who called light out of darkness with a single word. He is not limited by the stubbornness of people or the depth of wounds. He is not constrained by time or by the number of failed attempts in the past. He can do in one moment what years of human effort could not accomplish. And August 15th is not just another day. It is your moment, your appointed time, your meeting with destiny. When you wake that morning, let gratitude rise before your feet even touch the ground. Thank Him for what He is about to do. Thank Him for the restoration already written in the pages of your family's story. Thank Him that you get to stand in this role, that you get to be the one who speaks life where there has been death. And when you speak those words, once to break, twice to seal, let them be wrapped in gratitude, because gratitude will carry them further than desperation ever could. Gratitude says, I trust you enough to thank you before I see it, and that kind of trust moves mountains. When all is said and done, you will know that the words you spoke that day were not just for your family's restoration, they were for your own. For in calling love back to them, you will have called it back to yourself. In fighting for their healing, you will have stepped into a deeper healing of your own. In standing in faith for them, your own faith will have grown roots so deep, no storm can uproot it again. And that is the quiet beauty of obedience. It always restores more than you thought you had lost. So let your heart be steady, let your voice be sure. Let August 15th be the day that heaven hears your faith twice, and answers with a restoration so complete that even the enemy will know it was the hand of God. And when it happens, walk in that new day with humility, with joy, and with the unshakable conviction that what God restores, no force in heaven or earth can tear apart again. And as you live in the beauty of that restoration, remember this truth. You did not just speak to change a day, you spoke to change a legacy, and you did. And when that morning comes, let there be no hesitation in you, no trembling that keeps the words behind your teeth, no second guessing of what heaven has already decided. Let the air you breathe in be filled with anticipation, and the air you breathe out be filled with faith. This will not be just the act of speaking, it will be the act of releasing, of opening your hands, so God can fill them with what He has long been holding for you. You will stand there perhaps in the stillness of your room, or in the quiet corner of your home, and you will feel the weight of the moment rest upon you like a mantle. Do not shrink beneath it, wear it proudly, for it is the mantle of a restorer, a peacemaker, a repairer of the breach. And as you open your mouth to speak the first time, know that you are striking the enemy's hold with a blow so precise, so powerful, that the very roots of division will feel it tremble. You will sense a stirring in your spirit, the kind that tells you heaven is leaning close, that angels have stepped into position, that God Himself is standing watch over His word to perform it. And when you speak the second time, it will be as though you are sealing a covenant with the very breath of your soul. You will not simply repeat the words, you will deepen them, anchor them, press them into the soil of the unseen, until they take root in the ground of eternity. The second time is not an echo, it is the signature on the letter you have sent to heaven, a letter that says, I trust you, I believe you, and I accept the restoration you have promised. And in that act of sealing, something will shift so subtly, yet so surely that even if you cannot see it, you will feel it. Like the way the air feels different after the first drop of rain falls, like the way a wound feels when it begins to close, like the way a room feels when light slips under the door. You will know something has begun. It may be that in that moment, your mind will try to remember the years of distance, the arguments that left you raw, the holidays that passed in silence. It may whisper to you that words have never worked before, so why should they now? But in that moment, you must answer not with reason but with faith. You must remember that this is not the same as all the other times. This is appointed, this is ordained, this is marked in heaven's calendar as the day the tide turns. And tides, once they turn, do not go back. They sweep in and cover what was once dry and barren with the fullness of life. And perhaps in the days that follow you will still see shadows of the old pain. Perhaps a word will be spoken that stings. Perhaps someone will pull away when you reach out. But remember, the sun does not rise all at once. It climbs slowly, casting light inch by inch, until the whole sky is flooded. What you speak on August 15th will rise in the same way. It will start as a glimmer, a faint warmth breaking the cold, and it will grow stronger until the darkness can no longer hide in the corners. You must give it room to rise. You must let it grow without pulling at the roots to see if it has sprouted yet. And while it grows, live in such a way that you become the evidence of the restoration you have declared. Let your words be seasoned with kindness, even when irritation tempts you otherwise. Let your presence carry peace, even when the atmosphere around you is tense. Let your eyes hold compassion, even when they meet a gaze that holds none in return. This is not weakness. This is power. The kind of power that shifts atmospheres without shouting, that draws hearts without demanding, that wins battles without ever raising a weapon. For when God fights for you, the greatest weapon you hold is love that refuses to quit. And do not forget to pray in the days after. Prayer is the water to the seed you will plant with your words. It is the guard that keeps the weeds of doubt and resentment from taking root again. It is the oil that keeps the flame burning until the full light comes. Even when you do not know what to pray, let your spirit groan for them, for the Spirit Himself will take your wordless longing and carry it to the throne of God. And when you cannot find the strength to pray for them, pray for yourself, that your heart will remain tender, that your patience will remain unshaken, that your faith will remain unbroken. There will be a day, mark it down in your soul, when the ones you love will look at you and the air between you will feel different. They may not say it all at once. Perhaps it will come out in a single word softer than usual, in a small gesture of